All right, let's do a little time travel. We're rewinding the clock to take a look back at India's journey in 2025. And what a year it was. I mean, it was absolutely packed with stories that really started to change the game for the nation. This quote really it hits the nail on the head. A whirlwind. That's the perfect word for it. So, in this explainer, we're going to break down exactly what that whirlwind looked like across tech, the economy, culture, you name it. I think 2025 was a year that really tested India's resilience, for sure. But on the flip side, it also showed off some incredible innovation. It was the year that kind of cemented the country's reputation as this global hub for growth, all driven by this fierce determination to push through whatever challenges came its way, local or global. So that's the big question, right? What was actually driving all this momentum? What were the engines behind this incredible push forward? Well, that's exactly what we're here to do. Unpack the key drivers that fueled the fire in 2025, and just as importantly, set the stage for everything that's coming next. Okay, so first up, let's talk about the absolute powerhouse of the year, this incredible combination of the digital and economic engines. I mean, this is where tech and finance really join forces to fuel the country's growth in a way we just hadn't seen before. And let's just start with this number, 80,000. Wow. The Sensex crossing that historic mark, that was so much more than just a flashy headline. It was a huge signal, a real vote of confidence from domestic investors. And it showed just how strong India's core economic sectors were. So if we look a little closer at what was powering that financial engine, you can see it right here. You've got steady GDP growth, holding strong at around 6.8%. Then there's the stock market rally, which was really led by big players in banking, energy, and IT. And at the same time, you had these really forward-thinking projects gaining steam, like the Digital Ruby pilot expanding to more cities, and a huge push into green energy. These weren't just about today, they were about building for the long haul. And what really turbocharged all this economic growth was a super clear digital strategy. And listen, this wasn't just about making things faster. It was all about reach. Getting 5G networks out into those smaller Tier 2 and Tier 3 towns, that was absolutely crucial. And while that was happening, they're already testing 6G prototypes. So you can see they were not just thinking about now, but building for the next decade. But it wasn't just about connectivity. I mean, innovation was just firing on all cylinders. You had generative AI tools being rolled out in regional languages to help out in schools and on farms. Of course, ISRO was making everyone proud as the Gaganyaan mission hit its final phase, and they even started work on the Bhartiya space station. And down on the ground, affordable EVs were seriously starting to transform how people get around in the cities. Just so much happening at once. But look, a country's story is never just about numbers and technology, right? There's always more to it. And that brings us to the second huge driver of 2025, what we're calling the people and pride engine. This is all about the stuff that strengthened society and really boosted the national spirit. A massive piece of this was the Ayushman Bharat digital health mission finally becoming fully operational. So what's the big deal here? Well, it essentially created this single, unified digital backbone for all of healthcare. Think about it. It means a patient's health records could be pulled up securely at any connected hospital or clinic in the entire country. That is a total game changer for making sure people get consistent, proper care. And this was really part of a much bigger cultural shift that was happening around health and well-being. You had low-cost AI diagnostic tools making their way into rural areas. Wearable devices like smartwatches were fueling this huge new wave of health awareness. And maybe most importantly, you started to see the stigma around mental health and going to therapy really begin to fade. That's a huge deal. Now, shifting gears to the political arena for a second, there was one development that pretty much everyone was talking about: the emergence of the TVK party in Tamil Nadu. Of course, being led by the actor Vijay, its focus on young people and a promise of clean politics made it one of the biggest stories of the entire year. Meanwhile, at the national level, the focus was really on reforms to make life, well, simpler. This meant beefing up that digital public infrastructure that we all rely on. The systems behind things like digital payments and identity verification. It also meant new reforms to help startups get off the ground and a real push to continue making it easier for anyone to do business in India. And of course, what brings a nation together and fuels that sense of pride more than sports? In 2025, India did it again, lifting the T20 World Cup.
That win with such a young, energetic team just sent this massive wave of celebration and pure joy through every single part of the country.
But the celebrations didn't stop there. The Women's Premier League, the WPL, just exploded in popularity around the world. We saw record-breaking performances from our athletes in badminton and wrestling. And over in entertainment, South Indian cinema just kept on dominating on all the streaming platforms. All of this together really boosted India's soft power and cultural influence on the global stage.
Okay, so after a year that was so packed with progress, the big question is, what's next? So let's shift our focus now. Let's stop looking back at 2025 and start looking ahead to the momentum that's already building for 2026. And believe me, 2026 is already shaping up to be a landmark year. I mean, just look at what's on the horizon. In politics, all eyes are going to be on the TVK as they face their first big election. In space, ISRO is on the verge of making history with the Gaganyaan mission, sending India's first astronauts into space. Then you've got major new policies coming, like the green hydrogen mission for clean fuel and a new AI act that's going to reshape entire industries. And all the while, that big infrastructure push is just going to keep going. You know, this quote really captures the feeling perfectly as we head into the new year. It's set to be a year of ambition, accountability, and acceleration. It's not just about keeping the same pace as 2025. It's about kicking things into a higher gear, with bigger goals and moving even faster.
So when you look back, 2025 was undeniably the year that built some incredible momentum, right? It happened in pretty much every sector we've talked about. It really did set the stage perfectly for what's coming. So that leaves us with one final thought, one big question to chew on. If 2025 was the year of momentum, is 2026 going to be the year of transformation? That's what we'll all be watching.
Like, share, and subscribe to Connect and Build. I have already done. Did you guys subscribe?